How's it going, guys? I had a great time at the show, and I am pretty damn sure you did too, at least judging by online polls. Now, I know we're all going to be inundated with 8 things you missed at the Starfield Direct and deep dives breaking apart every frame in existence. Not saying that I didn't, I watched it 7 times already, and that's a 45-minute video, not including watching Todd's interview and then the 3-minute preview trailer, which had its actually other clips that were kind of interesting as well. But that's not my focus. If you watch anything I do, it's mostly been modding. I also want to do more lore, but there really hasn't been any. But I feel privileged and lucky enough to be in the modding community and have an ear towards kind of their feelings about certain things and what they're looking forward to modding and what they want. And I noticed something interesting about procedural generation, that the modding community is excited for it. Whereas it seems that the at least YouTubers have been kind of wary of it, and it's a gaining concern. And there's a couple points I want to point out at the video. I'll just do it right now.
What's cool about this whole system that we generate the planet itself as a procedural content, but the handcrafted content itself comes as the player explore. Our system builds a planet as the player approaches it. We stitch together a block of terrain. After that, we have the system that adds interesting locations for the player to explore, creatures to encounter, ore and plants to pick up. It allows us to add that touch of environmental storytelling that Bethesda is known for.
So I think what's being misunderstood here is that he's not talking about the whole mission being procedurally generated. He's talking about the location. And now I do think there will be some fetch quests and whatnot that are procedurally generated. I'm not saying everything, but what I think people are missing is that there's going to be handcrafted voice act material that is within these procedural locations. And I like this idea, and a lot of the modding community likes it for various reasons. One, the universe is huge in this. It's 1,000 planets. So having just individual locations that are the same locations for endless amount of playthroughs, there's no real benefit for that on this scale. Yes, maybe guides, right? That's the one thing that, yes, having a guide location for it may be an issue. It's just going to come with a condition. So if you meet this on this type of planet, then this condition will activate, then the mission will start, or you can start it, right? And why I like this is because this allows for a more fluid storytelling. Kind of like in Fallout 2, when you wandered the wasteland, you would just have these random encounters and they would build on each other. They would have to meet certain requirements. You can have it be a certain level. You had to have a certain piece of item or gear, and then it would activate. So it would come appropriately and it would naturally come into your purview, right? So it's hard to do that if it's just on some random moon that maybe you never explore. This way you can have all this custom content come and follow you naturally. And not only that, that the systems that they've been talking about building, these large settlements being created that can house these random events that lead to other caves and environments, that's something that through the CK, the creation kit, most likely modders will be able to replicate. That they can create whole planets, have a settlement that they constantly go, oh, this faction's bugging us again. Another condition is met. You went to the first location and took care of the boss. Okay, location 2 pops up because you took care of that boss. Apparently his cousin was also a ringleader on the other side of the planet. So that keeps this kind of fluid storytelling, and I like that they took this direction. Now, I know it's easy with things like No Man's Sky to be like, yeah, no more procedural generation. It's just a bunch of fluff. And I am there with you. No Man's Sky had a lot of interesting concepts, and every time I try to dive into it, I want to love it, but there's just no depth. Here, I think it's the right take on how to use procedural generation. Let it come up naturally as you explore the world. But inside the locations, at least the majority of them, you have hand-placed, unique quest and people or NPCs that you can relate with and talk to and maybe even recruit, right? It doesn't mean that they have to be on the same planet every playthrough. It makes it kind of interesting and dynamic per your playthroughs. So I agree with this take, and a lot of mod authors have been pretty excited about this way too. So that's one thing. That's a big positive for me. The other one is kind of my biggest negative with this, and that is the no vehicles. No vehicles in the future. No vehicles. Like, you have spacecraft. And I was searching. So as I said, I'll show you real quick. Check out this clip. This is the 3-minute preview clip they had during the Microsoft showcase. That looks like a mech to me, like a warrior robot. I saw that. I was like, cool. It's looking promising. Can't wait for the Starfield Direct. And all through it, I'm looking. I'm like, where's the vehicle? And then Todd, he says, you can walk back or fast travel back to your ship. I'm like, no, there is no ground craft. I'm not saying that like I needed ATVs or like hover bikes. Give me a space horse. I don't care, but it just seemed from a perspective of the future. You can't low fly orbit and land. Okay, that's already out. And now you can't drive around on a planet. So these are two things that just realistically trying to follow just it's hard for you to make that imaginative leap. Now I hope modders will find enough tools within it to curve around that, or a DLC will be coming where they have ground vehicles that maybe have ground vehicles and also capital ships you could pilot, because we saw capital ship, but it doesn't look like you can really do much interaction otherwise it being a glorified space station. So that was my one gripe. The other one is I'm on the fence about, and that is the no intelligent life. As you can see, this one character says it pretty plainly.
Built by an intelligence outside the settled systems.
It's definitely an eclectic cast of characters. You've got Sarah Morgan, the ex-soldier and adventurer, now Constellation's leader. Mateo, the theologian who believes that there's definitely something else out there.
So he believes there's something else out there, and then he's followed up by the creator talking about, other life, right? So I understand the loneliness aspect because we're currently living that in this world today, looking for our cosmic neighbors. It's a good story, obviously, because it's relatable. But I have always, from Star Trek to Mass Effect, loved how aliens can really be a reflection of human tendencies and the worst and best of us. Klingons, the honor, but also the zealous warrior spirit. Romulans, the stoicism, but also with the manipulation. Just these magnified human qualities. It's a great way to have moral discussions and narratives in the story. Now, I know limitation-wise, it's easier to have a bunch of humans, right? Clothing, not making goofy aliens and when you're missing the mark on it. We know humans pretty well. So it does lend itself easier in a lot of aspects. But my main issue with it, especially from the modding point of view, it makes it really hard to cleanly modern alien species without doing a whole, rework, like turning the whole of Starfield into Star Trek. If you had a couple species, it's fair to say that you can make offshoots, right? Just like they did even in Skyrim. You can do half breeds or dragon kind, and there's more room for the modding community to grow and believably grow. If you have just no aliens, maybe at the end there's one, which is the whole crux of the story. Well, it kind of cuts off that aspect of the Starfield storytelling. Now, of course, I don't know what the end of the line, the main story, where we get. Maybe it is a huge alien arrival at the end. But that has me a little worried. It's a small gripe, but I just noticed that, and I thought it was worth bringing up. Now, all right, I got one more positive tangent before I show you the things that I noticed in the Starfield Direct. Was everything that they built, including the skill checks, the traits, the parents, all these really open things. It just screams modability. They kept it very Bethesda in that way. There is a lot of different places I can see people putting their mods, adding their own traits, continuing the same, skills into their mod, Beast Hunter, whatever one that they want to add to their quest mods. So to me, it looked very Bethesda, and there's so much potential for modding, I can tell already. So in general, as I said, I am high B's grading on what I've seen. And I think, one more, the lighting. Holy Christ. The lighting was amazing. Hats off to the lighting directors. I've never seen a Bethesda game look that good with any ENB. So I may not need to download one day one. I probably will if I can. But anyway, all right, let's do the fun things. Let's see the things that maybe you missed, maybe you didn't, maybe all these things you know. On that case, let's do it. From this small sampling of food, it looks like that they only give you health and no benefits. Even more so, a falafel gives you 15 health, and a med pack gives you 27 health. That's one hell of a falafel. So from this angle, it looks like systems are leveled. That makes me think that not everything is dynamically leveled like Skyrim. That means that there's a level area just for you killing rats, and then the next level's bandits, and then we go on from there, which I'm all about. Most hardcore mods take away the dynamic leveling because, hey, if you run into a dragon, it should hurt you. And if you run into a bandit when you're a freaking Super Saiyan, he should just blow up. So here's a small detail. If you notice that there's a line around the shoulders opposed to the neck. Now, I don't know if you've downloaded any mods for Skyrim that you've ever glitched out and had that line open up around the neck. I wonder if this is a way to circumvent that. Instead, if there is a problem, there'll be lines underneath your clothing. If so, that's some detail. Is it just me, or does this give you the New Vegas intro when Doc wakes you up vibes?
Okay, take it easy. You were out cold. No physical damage. Mentally, the jury's still out.
Everything has looked amazing so far for this game, except for the beards. Why does it look like if Steven Seagal had hair plugs put on for his pubes, and then he decided to put them on his face? Yes, I know that's disgusting, but that's what it looks like. Yeah, I've never been into punching in any games, but this may change my mind. That is one hell of a jab. This is kind of random. Some of these vehicles you see here say registered, and then there's some that is unregistered. Maybe if you steal it, this is a way for it so you just can't farm money all the time. Maybe you have to pay a huge registration fee to Space DMV. I don't know. Okay, this is something they haven't revealed yet, and I want to know if it exists, and that is zero-G sports games. Come on. I need a version of Blitzball. Now, the beginning of the 3-minute trailer, this looks exactly like the St. Louis Arch. Except the Earth doesn't look like it's doing so well. So I don't think you'll be able to, check out a Cardinals game. Yeah, this ain't no surprise, but yeah, stealth looks overpowered again. We can see that these alien buildings are in different biomes, meaning there's probably several of these locations. This is probably where you go to unlock your your space magic powers. Now, I know that's a short list, and people are probably going to decrypt the whole storyline before the game even drops. So I'll let them do them. Anyway, thank you guys for stopping by. Hey, stay safe and mod reckless. Starfield's on its way. Few more months, baby.